All right. I'm going to record this because that's the type of services we have for that. Now, we want to talk about Elah and why Elah is important. Elah is the primordial essence of Orunmila the Prophet. And the way I've heard part of the story told was that when human beings are born, we go and we pick our heads. In heaven, we go to Ajabu Mole, who is the owner of sacred heads in heaven. And we go and we pick our head. If that head is well shaped and beautiful, then for the most part, our destiny will be the same way. However, if that head has any misshapen areas, or there's something with it that is not necessarily normal, then the person that chooses that head will be met with challenges and difficulties in life. Once our destiny is bestowed in heaven, Orunmila witnesses, Olodumare grants it, and then we become a human being. In our journey from heaven to earth, there is a river. We cross that river, our memory becomes suppressed. We forget. And from there, we have to journey past the moon. And it's from the moon that our souls makes this journey to this earth. I'm telling you what I know because I've seen it. I just didn't know what it was when I saw it. It was a horrible nightmare. But I saw it. So what happens to people who are born with these misshapen heads and are met with some level of misfortune, they are the ones that go to the diviners. Find out what do we do. In Nigeria proper, the Yoruba people, they do it as a matter of course. So as soon as the child's born, how many days? 3 days? Let's go. What about that? We don't have that. Let's get it. And they find out the destiny of their child. And whenever we seek to change misfortune into good fortune, it is the awos that people turn to. It is Elah that the awos turn to. And there's levels to this. Elah is considered a divinity that makes a bad head good. Elah is the divinity that is responsible or begins the spiritual process that changes misfortune into good fortune. Elah is the primordial essence of Orunmila. Elah was Orunmila in heaven before Orunmila manifested on the earth. The word Elah means I am light. And just like everything else with the Orunmila, the stories don't necessarily follow a straight line. Okay? There are some stories that say that Orunmila was born of Oyigi Yigi, who was a barren woman who went to Orunmila for divination. Orunmila said, come back. He said, just prescribed the Ebola, said, come back. When she came back, she said, I feel weird. He said, it's because you're pregnant already. She said, all right. Yeah, that's okay, you're pregnant. And eventually she used to chop wood for a living, so she went in the bush to chop wood. She felt like the baby was coming. She put her wrap down and had that baby. And the Orunmila took the baby. We got a little older, we took the baby and taught the baby. And then when it was time for it to leave the earth, he said, whatever you want, whatever you want, if you call on me, I'll ensure that. That's just one story about it. There's a book called Ijo Orunmila. If I had Jimmy Roller on, if I had her zoomed in, now it's really hard to get. It's a small book. But in that book, there's a section on Ela, and the way it lists the way Oluwa Ifashina wrote this and put a diagram in the book that talks about is the primordial side and the manifestation side. And the primordial side is Ela, the manifestation side is Orunmila. Now, Oluwa Fayemi, I think it was the original NGOD Facebook page. He had put up a chant and he wrote, I think he said the chant, then he wrote it in Yoruba, then he put the translation in English. And the chant is what that verse of Ifa talks about is how Allah is a redeemer like cool water. It's like cool water redeems the earth, Allah redeems us. And when it talks about the redeeming of what is meant by that is turning negating situations into something that's not so negating. To make bad things good, to make a bad thing good, to change a bad destiny to a good one. These were the documents that I pulled up. This was very old. I spoke about it last service, and I said, no, I'm gonna find it, I'm gonna find it. And although there's a bunch of pages here, and a lot of it, I don't know at all. But there's this one line right in the middle of the page. But what it says is, it says that alignment with the spirit of Allah is the blessing of Ifa, and chanting is the road to that blessing. First time I read that, it became a little emotional. When I read that, that was when I decided I got to learn how to chant this Ifa. I got to learn this stuff here. And even though the Alosha are not Ifa priests, but the whole cadre of Orisha priests is an extension of Orunmila, because Orunmila taught Oshun how to cast cowrie shells, and that's what produced the Alosha to begin with. So this same charge to turn misfortune into blessings goes for all the priests. All of them, no matter where you at. I want Yani Fa, Alosha, Elegu, Google priest, don't make a difference. Don't make a difference where you at. That's your job. It's to turn misfortune into good fortune. With our woes, it becomes a little bit more specific, but it's still the same thing. And the reason why I bring up the Alosha is because of this first paragraph, this paragraph before the one that I just, the sentence I read, it says, the Oriki in this volume are spoken in a slow, resonant voice, and as the student of Ifa becomes familiar with them, they are sung. The singing aspect of chanting is usually motivated by spirit and is an expression of the creativity of the Awo. Question usually gets posed is that do Awos get possessed? Not the same way as the Alosha. Not the same way that you would see in the video. And remember last month when I said, what was Orumila's manifestation? What was his natural power? It's the ability to speak. That's the spirit of their life. But that's also, when we channel that energy, that's our world's version of possession. That was this. Those were two things that I went. And there's a note for any priest or priestess, anyone who's trying to learn Oriki, like the book Oshun Shigesi. Now, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. But those 3 chapters are meant to be memorized.
Wait.
I said those 3 chapters are meant to be memorized.
What you just?
No, what the book. The book.
Wait. Cover to cover?
No, the 3 chapters.
Okay, got it.
Because what happens is
the first 3 chapters.
She know what it is, she explains it. I don't know if it's chapters or how she calls it, but essentially that was a praise to Oshun. Yeah, Shalabade, Mokore, for sure. Shalabade, Abide, Babari, Yami, Perguye, Jamal. I don't know what she said at the very beginning, but the reason why I bring it up is because the path to that, it starts slow.
Speaking of Oshun's voice. Yes.
There's a video to that. I got it on VHS tape. The video is bad.
Okay, so you said pass all this stuff she got.
But right where Shalabade starts, right where it starts, right where the poem starts. Okay, what is she? What's this she put at the very top of that? What is it?
Phase 1 of the chant.
There. There's 3 phases. That's what the
It's 20.
I don't think,
It's 40.
I honestly don't think that any one of them is any shorter than the other.
It's 40.
We can suffice to say it's a lot.
Okay.
And what happens is that the page, but here's the thing, the page where your thumb is on, the other thumb, the left thumb, that page right there, it's kind of where I kind of like, I hit it, so okay, I'm going to here. So I have some of it, but
Okay. See, I'm all right.
but what
This side is Europe, but this side is English. Okay.
now what happens though is, again, the only reason why I bring it up is what Fatumi wrote here. Start slow. Start slow. If it make you feel any better, that big blue book, the E5 Divination, with 256 verses in it, that whole book is meant to be memorized.
I was, right?
Yeah.
Or Yali Father.
No, by was in Young Prophets. And it's only 2 verses. People criticize the book, it's only 2 verses. So what kind of complete divination is it? You going to recite the whole thing? You can recite that book? You that bad? You going to recite the whole book? The crazy thing is that there are ones in Nigeria who can't.
I'm sure. But that's all they do.
But what happened was they started at 3 years old.
Yeah, right. Well,
Like, I ask any one of y'all, pick your favorite Michael Jackson song, I bet you sing the top to bottom. Whether you sound, I ain't saying about how you sound, but we know the words.
Yeah.
Because we were acculturated to it from the time we were very little. So that helps. So for us, how we manage that here in the West is we go real slow and read if we have. I'm like, listen, especially at this age now, read it. Because it needs to be said, it needs to be spoken into the universe, and it needs to be heard. And that's what healing is.
I tried to recite with you with the recording you sent me, but you was too fast. I couldn't keep up. You said it to me once. You said it to me once.
I slowed it down too.
But your version is slowed down.
Okay, we'll come back to that. Now, this is another file on a law that is basically the story I just told you. And there's another book, Yoruba Religion in Ibadan, which is another that one might be a little bit, but when they talk about the chapter on Orunmila, it says that some elders found this child in the bush who could speak at a very young age. Showed his wisdom, could walk and talk. It was a newborn baby that could walk and talk. So, but it's also the same that is said of Eli in this story here. But what I want to read to you is this. Festivals for Elah every year for the great work he had done in life. Meanwhile, anytime they want to remember him, they will feast him with the foods he liked best, such as adul, corn cake, ireke, sugar cane, oyi, honey, obi, cola nut, orobo, bitter cola, eku, rats, and enja, fish. All of these are offered to Orunmila. Now, listen to this. This is how Elah Festival started, and the reason why Alawos and Olorishas should call all Elah Rowa before they can embark on any spiritual work. So this story here comes from the Ijiyat Bay. The verse that Chief Amy posted years ago comes from Ijiyat Bay. I think there's also mention of Allah in the Odu Iwari mention. And if I divine for any of you, you've heard me do it, whether you know it or not. And this is really more for, I don't like segregating groups. This is for the priests. Is that it's really our responsibility to change darkness to light. It's our responsibility to change misfortune to good fortune. That's how we heal the people. That's how we heal ourselves. And especially our wolves. Especially our wolves, especially our fathers. We need to dig deep when it comes to Orunmila, when it comes to AI. We need to dig deep. And I'm saying this primarily for this recording, but I'm saying it to say it that we have yet to tap into the elephant that lives inside of us. Because we have yet to tap into our natural power. How do we get there? Learn to chant and fast. For the Olosha, learn the Oriki of your divinity. Because if you keep talking to her, she's gonna show up.
I shall.
I haven't forgotten the crowns. I know I've seen it with my own eyes. The crown of your head, here she comes. See, you saw it too. And as frightening as it is, I'm scared of you. I ain't the only one to talk to your God. So. But what happens is, another part of it is beautiful. I could say words, but it's a part of this that until you go through it, the words don't measure up. They really don't. I can give you some images and some ideas. Like if you watch Quilombo, which is probably all over YouTube by now. You watch Quilombo and you look at Potiene, the old white-haired Brazilian woman. Or if you watch Sankofa, you look at Lulu. Lulu with bags.
Yes, sir. Maybe go home and watch it.
So, like Ifa Sade used to always say, the biggest room in anybody's house is room for the food. We can all learn more, we can all do more, we can all do better. And to me, it's one thing with the walls. It's kind of easier for me because I'm just with it so much. With the Aloshais, it's hard for me to translate it because I've even learned to approach the Orisha from the perspective of Odu. That's when I bought a book that does that. That's how the book is. So I'm like, oh, okay, wow, it's deep. So that's the way I went. And while I'm sitting here, like going through this, for you just look up YouTube videos or read them. Not so much that you want to learn them. You want to feel it. You want to feel that.
Just Oriki feeling?
Oriki Oshun, specifically for your mother. Then there's this one young girl, she did the Oriki for a Google, it was off the chain. But I see what happens is like I talk about chapter 5 for you, it's for Oriki. Oriki is for Oriki. Just drown. Not only that, but if you could find that video, I pay $100 for that video easy. Because and the reason why I talk so much about it, because one, it's a beautiful video. First, she starts off like in her own place. And then she goes right to Nigeria. She goes to Oshogbo. She talks about how Oshun is worshipped in Oshogbo. And then she says that further north, where Oshun is worshipped as well, it's different. And she shows you the differences between how Oshun is worshipped in one place and then how it's worshipped in another place. And that's what's so cool about it. I never met her. I just think, just from reading their book, her story is a beautiful story. See if I have any questions. Yes.
First, you were talking about the
Yeah, I continue.
Quilombo. Q-U-I-L-O-M-B-O.
Yeah, you got it. Visualize it in my head. My visual is not really good.
You should have that. I don't know what would you do. Yes.
But
Columbo's hard to find in English nowadays. Last couple times I looked for it was in Portuguese.
yeah, you find it in Portuguese with the subtitle. That's all I got. The movie's just so fly, I don't care. It's good enough for me.
I used to have English.
Now, for people who are not also for new initiates and people who are coming up, working their way to priesthood, as far as Elah is concerned, it's just important to interface with your divination, because that's where you will be. It's important to have divination, to fulfill the divinations, to make it evolve. And more so pray to Orunmila. Because one thing people may not say, something that I haven't said a lot at all, is that this religion is a religion of initiation and permission. It's a religion of levels. You have to pass from one level to the next, to the next, to the next. It's not very much different than high school, college. And every level you go through, you get a certain amount of information, rights, and responsibilities. And when you fulfill them at one level, it's meant for you to continue further and further and further. I remember the lawyer, it's somewhere in the handbook, but it's somewhere like in fine print somewhere. It's a hide in plain sight. He said the same thing, he just said it a different way. He said the way to get closer to Orunmila is to internalize his teachings. That's what he said. And I know that, I know that they have a new audio book now. Before they talked about audio books, he did a thing called Sacred Messages. This was back when he bought that little tape recorder, the Radio Shack jam, with a little mic on it and the counter, with the 3 digits on it. Yo, he was rocking that tape recorder. I ain't playing. Like, literally, we made a lot of crazy tapes, a really big tape recorder. And I know what he used to do was he used to sit there and just sit at the kitchen table, hit record, and just start running it. And when he produced that, he made it available to us, and we bought the tapes. I specifically remember. So the way to get closer to him is to internalize his teachings.
Fountain information.
So even like on the way to, we start to internalize the teachings. And also, there's nothing wrong with, especially once you receive your Ishe file, once you get your one-handed Orunmila, there's nothing wrong with learning, starting to memorize verses every 5 days. You're not divine, you're not priests, no rituals, no nothing. So that's the time to really crash course. So that when you do get to those other places, now you're like, oh. And because people are getting initiated at all ages to include late 50s, early 60s, we have to do it differently. The cool part is that we can. I stress the memorization part because of the blessing that comes with it. Not from the requirement that you're going to do this like this. Because we can't compete with a dude who's 30 years old who's chatting, who started when he was 5 when he was 3. And so when we see them, it's not like, okay, so we're going to be less than because he can do that. No, he's supposed to do that. But that doesn't mean that we should not pursue this divine life. In fact, we should pursue it more so. Like, I don't know how many dimensions there exist in the universe. I don't. We live in the 3rd dimension of the universe. 3 dimensions. The 4th dimension is described as the eternal now. In Ifa, we call it Lai Lai. L-A-I, L-A-I. We call it Lai Lai. The 4th dimension is the dimension that allows the mechanics of deviation to work. It's what allows our world to see the past, the present, and the future. Because in that dimension, it's all now. It's all right now. closer to that. Can't see me from. So if I have any other questions.
That interface, could you explain that a little bit more?
Remember early on in the presentation, we talked about how when a child is born, when a person has difficulty in life, they will come to that wall and find out the answers. We do that by way of divination. Orunmila is the witness of faith to everything. We see the beginning and end of everything except his own ending. It's the only thing Orunmila does not know. So we ask, Orunmila is also the custodian of Ifa, which is the word of the creator to the Yoruba people. Ifa is this body of knowledge that's contained in Odu. Odu is the container of existence. Everything that exists exists in Odu, which essentially means there's no Odu for everything. Through that process, we find out the root cause of whatever problems we're facing. We find out more about ourselves. We find out what is the most direct path to our blessings in life. What are we supposed to do about that crazy problem we're having? What about my destiny? What did I ask for when I was born? Why am I here? What am I supposed to do? So, divination as a therapy speaks to 5 or 6 different aspects of human life: self, relationships with others, money, health, spirituality, and character. It speaks to all these things. And when it comes to the Ifa world, especially for traditionalists, and I mean, not even in Europe, but just all over Africa, something serious is going on, we want to divine.
So,
No, I hope that answers your question.
absolutely. And so the next question I have is, how does that work? How do we interface divination? How do I
Just ask, make an appointment. And sit down. Interesting, everybody in this room you're looking at has gone through this process. Everybody.
how long does it take?
Depends on how involved he gets, usually around an hour. It can be more, it can be less. Depends how deep you get. Like I've had naming ceremonies for both of my children. Right on that field.
So I can bring my children in for that.
Of course. Divination is seven. There was an author. I thought he was a priest, but I found that he wasn't initiated. But his name was Ayo Salami. And he was the author of the book Ifa Complete Divination. And years ago, I was going to pay this money to take this class. And that's when we talk about Wanda Edward Bowler, which is probably one of the most famous Awos alive today. And what he said was, he says, I'm going to teach you every weekend. No, 1 weekend out of a quarter, 4 times a year. I'm going to teach you 2 verses every 5. Just 2. I'm going to teach you everything. So if you come back to me, you can recite it back, I'll certify you as an Awo. So from someone like Wanda Edward Bowler to have now say, I'm certified by that guy, take on a plaque to have a new wall. Okay. But for some reason, the classes didn't kick off. but then years later, he filed complete divination. That book was the class. He said he was teaching 2 verses. In that book, there's 2 verses for every open. But what Ayo Solomon said, and it's on YouTube now, and this is the reason why I bring it up. What he said that everyone should take part. Because the question was posed, do you think white people should be involved in this religion? He said, yes. He said, everyone should take part. And the interviewer asked him, well, why? This is the shocking part. He said, everyone deserves to know the taboos of their life. Because the other part of when we're born, there's certain things we promised we would never do when we got here. It's also part of what you forget. And I can say from my own horrible experience, I've broken that promise a couple times. I've lived the faith. So that's like, people talk about, I want to meditate because I want to know myself. Or I'm going to take this substance because I want to have a spiritual journey. I want to know myself. For us in this religion, this is how we do it. We do it through divination. That's how we do it. Any other questions? I have to, some office have to be prepared because one of them I got to make. It's called adu, or corn cake. Really, it's corn flour and honey. That's it. Just mixing flour into honey is an assignment. It's not easy. So I got to make that. I got to prepare the fish a little bit, just put it in the bowl, and I got to find the tortilla to put up in the fridge. Give some tortilla, and then we're going to put all these offerings together and make an offering for everybody. Because pre-Zoom, everybody bring an offering, Post-Zoom, we have temple members all over, like all down the East Coast. So we want to make offerings for them too. Why should they be excluded? We have a sister who she has a concussion, so definitely make offerings for her. So, yes.
Yeah, I have a question. Knowing that my family's background is Baptist, how would I put it in my will if I was to pass away that I wanted to have the E5 way instead of?
Just like you said.
That's it. In my will.
That's it.
That's it.
I done told everybody, they're not taking me up in no church.
And what happens, you can specify who you want to perform your ceremonies.
Yeah.
You specify how you want them to perform.
What happens to the elect day?
We got to ask the Orisha about that.
Oh, okay.
Unless there's somebody in your family that you want to have them, you can will them to something. You pass them on. And just a quick note on that. Since I haven't written it down, let me just go ahead and say it. The way we do everything at the funeral. We don't involve any other religious institution. We ain't going up to nobody's spiritual house to do nothing. They don't want us there. Our energy is incompatible there. Why would we go there? What happens is that funeral homes are more amenable because they bury everybody. It don't matter.
Yeah.
And they have themselves, like, I don't know what was the inspiration to make it this way, but it's been this way forever, where there's a chapel in almost every funeral. So we just do it there. That's how we do it. Matter of fact, that's how I did my mom. And I didn't, I told my aunt, I said, Auntie, I'm not going to bury mommy according to my religion. She said, why not? Because it wasn't hers. But I also kept my promise. I said, we're not going to sit and talk about Jesus either. That's my mama language. So it was time, it was time for her. We want to talk about her. We want to talk about Jesus. You have to do that afterwards. Okay? So when we perform eulogies, trust me, we're going to talk the dead ears off. And the reason for that is that we want to honor the person that's passed away. We want to honor their spirit. We want to honor them. We want to show them and the people that are present that we love them, and then we acknowledge that they love them too. We want to give them a proper send-up, along with all the other spiritual stuff. Yes.
I already know you having one. Do you know some more? How much from your folks?
Yeah, except my hat inside. Just give me a hat. It's just a hat. And maybe, like, I should get this done prior to, because what I want is a shadow box of my badges. So that in my hat. It's it. Maybe, but what happens with the military is different. But the military is different. You see, if I was here, he would tell you, because the Cushing Funeral Home over there on Sam Street ain't much bigger than this house. And when you walked up there, there was 3 Marines sitting outside. And they came in full uniform and said, sir, let us know when you're done, and then we'll come in. They did it after. They said, let us know when you're done, and then we'll come in. And when we gave them the cue, they marched in. First off, the standing room was like crowded. They marched right in there. And what they did was they played taps. They played taps. They folded the flag, handed it off, and marched out. Now, since there wasn't a cemetery involved, I don't know if they did the patrol guns. I know from my cousin, it was 3 guns.
Yeah, they do 7 shots. That's what 21 guns did.
So, and what was funny was my little cousin Rick. My little cousin Rick, by the 3rd volley of shots, he started to complain to his mother, but he was 6 years old. But we do that. Like if you have a military background, we don't leave nobody out. I saw a state trooper. We did crowd control and traffic for his funeral. We blocked off a piece of whole, like a half-mile Prospect Street from end to end. And you had everybody out there. You had state police. You had Blue Lodge Masons. You had Shriners and Qs. And all of them was like, yo, let us know when you're done. And they would muster outside and just march in the church. Go down, march by his, salute him, march by his casket, march out, go you next. Because our big point of view about that is we want to honor them. We're not trying to sell our religion over somebody's dead body. What we want to do is we want to honor the person that's passed, and we want to honor their family. And we'll compromise and bend as much as we need to. We'll be as flexible as we have to be to make that happen. Like I rolled through a couple curveballs at him. Told me to be there at a certain time. I'm like almost there. He's like, yo, where you at? I said, I'm trying to find a parking space. He said, y'all got the block tied up. So they're talking about a parking space. So I said, I'll be there in a minute. He said, well, we want to start early. We want to start early than what I said. So we started early. So I saw I parked my car, walking down the street, okay. You lead, tell me how you want to do it. And then Mark and his brother was there. They're drummers. They don't drum like this. They drum like that. And he said, I want to do Edwin. And I immediately felt a certain kind of way because only 2 E5 people in this room is here and I. Now you want to do Edwin now? I said, okay. So I went over and he said something about the drums. I said, no, don't worry about it. I said, no, don't worry about it. They got it. So I walked over to them. And I said, yo, man, give me a Guinea 6. Like we was doing a jazz gig. Yo. Give it to me right here, baby. So when I gave them that cue, they just started playing the Guinea 6 and we did Edwin. Because what happens is that's why we need to be up on our culture. Because you can go to any African dance class, any African drum circle, say, give me a Guinea 6, and you're gonna hear it. Because everybody knows what that is. It's a language we talk. Just like jazz musicians, yo, rhythm changes in 6. That's what it is. Everybody has this language. And this is part of our culture, it's part of who and what we are. That's why we need to go get it. So we can learn it, so we can live it. So that's what we did to, and part of that was not just to eulogize his father, but to honor his family, to honor him and his family.
So his sister, Vida Baraka, his brother-in-law, David Baraka, everybody was traditional. He was raised Baptist or whatever. He was a famous jazz singer. They did all the homage they was going to do. When it was time to bring his body out of there, doing it.
Yeah.
And he marched it right up. And when I started singing, once I heard that, I'll break out and start singing April. She was so happy. She said, I'm so happy. Because I know it's a lot of people appreciate what you do. This is who we are.
So and it just shows that even if we get a little bit of this, it goes a long way. It goes a long way. And one other thing, disabled children are children of Mubatala by nature. My son got a double, triple hope. My son's albino with autism. So, he Mubatala extra. Okay. But what happens, I just thought I'd mention it. But I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did.
I don't like, we're going to have typical service. We're going to spend most of the day here and at least get your questions answered. So, that's the least we can do. But if there are no more questions, we're going to prepare these offers and we're going to go to a live. Okay? I'm going to end this video and we're going to collate that. And we're going to take it and post it. We're going to post it up. I need you to go right over to the spot right over here and find a couple of plates. I'm going to